Hello!
Hi friends!
Today we are going to do our March wrap-up.
That's the one.
That is it.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Christina.
And you're watching
Game of Tomes. I almost forgot what month we were doing. So, let's get into it.
Okay, cool.
Talk about Clash of Kings?
Yeah. Today's March 31st, and I have just a couple more chapters left in Clash of Kings, but I will finish it tonight. It's really good. I gave this 5 stars the first time I read it, and I give it 5 stars again. And I'm loving... I didn't expect to see so much foreshadowing again in the second book, but I did. There was. It's there.
Cool. I'm currently reading it, and I'm really enjoying it.
Good.
It's my first time reading the second one, so I'm like really into it.
Yeah. We're gearing ourselves up for season 8. Yeah. I'm excited and nervous.
Yeah.
But mostly excited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
me too.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's the best show there's ever been on television.
And it's gonna come out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm ready.
Dun 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 dun.
Winter's here.
For our In Real Life book club, we read Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett.
Oh, yeah.
I DNF'd it like 3 hours into the audio.
I had to force myself to finish it, unfortunately. Yeah. And it has such a good premise. An angel and a demon team up to save the world from apocalypse. I
couldn't get into the writing style.
No, yeah, that's it.
I wasn't a big fan of it, and I didn't care for the narrator either, and I found myself having to force myself to pick up the audio.
Me too.
And I was also having to rewind a couple minutes to remember where I had left off, because there's no, like, chapter headers, and so I was just like...
It would just go from one scene with one group of characters to another scene with another group of characters, and it felt just like
it was really hard on audio to follow along.
Yeah. So I finished it, but I gave it 2 stars. It was okay. It had its moments. It was sometimes funny, but mostly
pretty dry. I thought,
very British.
Yeah,
which I love. Many British things. This kind of humor.
Meh.
Is just like, oh yeah, I get it, but I just didn't think it was funny.
I'm kind of disappointed too, because like a lot of people love Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
And this is the second book of his that I've read. Granted, Terry Pratchett also co-authored it. Well, Nevermoor we read for In Real Life Book Club.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care for
that one.
I didn't care for that one.
Yeah.
It was okay. So I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not a Gaiman fan. But I have a couple of his other books physically, and I do want to read
Stardust.
those.
And that one's short, too.
Yeah. And I have American Gods, and I've heard good and bad things. Yeah. So
we'll read that one eventually.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, cool. Okay, what's next?
I finished Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. Finally, I finished the Farseer trilogy.
Do you want to pick it up?
Finally finished Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. The final book in the Farseer trilogy. It took me like 3 months to finish this. It was ridiculous. I gave it 3 stars. It was the least favorite of mine. I didn't care for the pacing. It was weird. And some of it was just not for me, you know? It didn't have that like great, satisfying ending. But I do want to continue on. I did really enjoy it. Want to go on to the Ship of Destiny trilogy next. So yeah, I mean, you know, I'm glad I finished it finally. I just still not sure how I feel about it. But 3 stars. I enjoyed it, but it was like weird.
Yeah.
I can't really say anything else about it, but I really do enjoy Robin Hobb and her writing style. So I'm not saying that, like, you know,
like you're not trashing
it. I love the writing style. It was just like the plot and the pacing like really threw me off in this book. So that's all.
And you didn't like the ending, right?
Yeah, it was okay.
Okay.
So I don't know.
All right,
we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see like with the other trilogies and the rest of the world.
I need to catch up with you because I really.
It is a great trilogy.
Yeah.
The first book is one of my all-time favorite books ever, hands down.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely worth reading.
Okay.
Yeah. glad to have that one
And
down.
Ship of Destiny just sounds so good.
It sounds so good.
Yeah. Okay. Then I read I'll Be There For You, the one about Friends by Kelsey Miller. It's all about the television show Friends. It's a nonfiction book. You first get screenwriters and how they became writers and how they landed that show or ended up writing it. And then you get like a brief summary of how the 6 main actors became actors and how they landed the show. And then it talked about some behind the scenes stuff. I really enjoyed it. It also put Friends into context with the Me Too movement and really put that movement in perspective for me in a really interesting way. And I really like that part. It's been weeks since I finished it, so I can't really speak eloquently about it right now because I'm not prepared for that.
It's just not like fresh.
Right. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I'm glad I read it.
Awesome.
I think anyone who's a friend of Friends will enjoy it and get something out of it.
Cool.
Yeah. It's not like mind-blowing or whatever, but
still good.
I liked it.
Yeah. Good. Alright, so we discovered Hoopla. Well, I discovered Hoopla through Jessica.
Oh my gosh. Hoopla is amazing.
Incredible.
And I love it. Yeah. So you can borrow 10 graphic novels a month.
Or books, or...
No, there's no ebooks on there. I couldn't find any.
Oh, well, I didn't look for ebooks. I just assumed. But they do have
audiobooks.
CDs. Yeah.
CDs and...
shows. TV shows.
Movies.
So you can borrow 10 a month. And so their graphic novel selection is insane because we don't
really
have
good.
access to graphic novels in our small town.
No.
Our library does not really carry any. Our used bookstore does not really carry any. Our only option is to purchase them if we want to read them.
And they're expensive.
So Hoopla is like a great tool for us. So Jessica binged on some graphic novels.
Yeah, I took advantage of it.
I read one because I just, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm just taking a long time to read lately, but I'm super excited to read all these graphic novels that we've been wanting to read.
Yeah.
So that being said, we read Umbrella Academy Volume 1 by Gerard Way and other people.
Gabriel Buh?
Probably. And Dave Stewart, who is a colorist. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. Speaking of which, we actually did a discussion about the TV show and the first volume.
We just binged the TV show. It was so good.
Yeah, and so we just wanted to talk about it.
We have a lot to say.
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes long, I think.
Yeah.
So it is spoilery, FYI. But I really liked this graphic novel. It's kind of like, I don't read a lot of graphic novels. I don't read a lot of superhero graphic novels or anything like that. I don't watch Marvel movies. I just don't get into that stuff. But this felt like different and refreshing and just kind of like unique, you know? And I really enjoyed it.
Well, it's very much a comic.
Yeah.
And we don't read a lot of those.
No.
Other than the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely think, like, if you've seen the show, it is worth reading the comic.
I'm glad that I read the comic first because the TV show is just
different.
So in-depth. And so I feel like with a comic, you can only get so deep into it, you know.
I will say I watched the TV series before I read the comic, and I wish that I wouldn't have. I wish I would have done it. Because it definitely did impact how much I enjoyed the comic. But I did enjoy it. It's just, you know.
I will be
continuing
reading volume 2.
Yeah, samesies.
Yeah.
Okay, so I picked up Nevermoor, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend on audio because that was the second book that almost won for our In Real Life book club, and it's a middle grade book, so hey, I participated in Middle Grade March!
I have 1 middle grade.
Oh, that's awesome.
Graphic novel.
So I gave this book 4 stars, and I really, really enjoyed it. I really like the narrator. I like the storyline of it. It follows this girl, Morgan Crow, who is a cursed child who... all cursed children die on like their 11th birthday or something like that. But she's saved and taken to this free state where she now has to compete in these trials to become part of this organization that just, I don't know how to explain it, like this wondrous society that controls a lot of things. And it's just kind of like Harry Potter meets like, not quite Hunger Games, because Hunger Games is like a lot more intense, but it was really cute and just good. I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as I did, and I do want to continue on with the series.
And you listened to it?
I listened to it on audio.
How was the audiobook?
I really enjoyed the audiobook, and the chapters had headers, first of all.
Yeah.
And it played, like, some music interludes in between
nice.
and stuff, and that was really cool. And the narrator, I thought she did a great job.
Okay.
So, I don't know who narrated it.
It's a lady.
It's a lady, which I'm big on lady narrators on audiobooks.
Okay.
So, yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot.
Cool. I want to read that one.
And I, like, found myself wanting to continue listening to it. You know what I mean? Mostly I just listened to it while I got ready for work in the mornings, and I was like, okay. You know? So, yeah, 4 stars. Really good.
Awesome.
And that's all I read for the month.
Okay, yeah. So now I have a bunch of graphic novels to talk about. And since you just went with Middle Grey March, I'll talk about the one Middle Grey March book I read. And that was El Deafo by C.C. Bell. I gave it 5 stars.
Is that one word?
It is a own voices memoir. She's writing about her own life and growing, what it was like growing up almost deaf.
I'd be interested in reading that.
All the characters in the book are bunnies.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. She had to wear hearing aids when she was a little kid. And I just think it's one of those that, you know, everyone should read as a kid, you know, and help you become a more compassionate. And if you have a disability of any kind, you know, maybe help that child feel not alone.
Right.
And for that reason, I really loved it. And it was just really sweet, and it was like really honest too. And I really liked it, so I gave it 5 stars.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, then I read 6 Criminals Volume 2.
Oh yeah.
Which has been a long time.
Since Volume 1.
Yeah. In 6 Criminals, we go into a world where when this lady has an orgasm, she can stop time, and she thinks she's the only one, and then she meets someone else who has a similar ability. And then they rob banks. The world is expanded. They get kind of caught, and they have to, like, backtrack. And in this story, I forget their names. I don't remember the names of any of the characters. But
I don't either.
But the dude is kind of depressed, and the honeymoon phase of their relationship is over, so they have to try and reconnect and regroup and make a new plan. And I do think there was possibly like a little bit more graphic
sexual content.
Yeah. In this book than there was in the first one, but it's a fun, weird, wild ride.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to get to Volume 3.
Yeah. I enjoyed the first one. I do want to continue on as well.
Good, yeah. You should. I did like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a downer, but
yeah,
still good.
Okay.
And then I read The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, Volume 2. Squirrel, You Know It's True, by Ryan North, and Erica Henderson is the artist.
I'm currently reading that right now. I tried to finish it today before we filmed. I don't think I'm going to finish it today, so I'm just going to not rush through it. I love it so much, though.
It's really good.
It's so funny.
Yeah. I read this at a time when I probably should have just put it down because I wasn't feeling well and I wasn't enjoying it like I feel like I would have if I was in a good mood or whatever.
I'm not enjoying it as much as I did the first one.
Well, the first issue within Volume 2 was lame and had nothing to do with the story. It felt like it was its own thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about Squirrel Girl hardly at all. It was like
just weird.
It was a concept and I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
But after that, it got back to Squirrel Girl's story, and in this comic they have to save the world from Girl Squirrel, who is a girl-sized squirrel.
Who's like a myth.
Who is evil.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't love it as much as one, like I said, but I will be continuing on. I like it.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's a cute, funny little...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be taken seriously.
No.
I give this one a 3 stars.
Yeah.
And then I read Bingo Love, Volume 1, the Jackpot Edition, by T. Franklin, Marguerite Bennett, and Gail Simone. Several people have read this book because of last month being Black History Month and Blackathon. And this is a love story between 2 black women who meet at church when they are very young, and because of their religious upbringings, they separate and then reconnect later in life. It gave me all the feels. It was just so sweet of a story. I loved it. The only issue that I had was that there was a twist in it that took a page right out of like another very famous romance story. And if you've read it, you'll know what I'm talking about, most likely. And so when that happened, it took me out of the story, and I'm like, oh, that's just like that other book.
Right.
That's really famous. And I won't say, because I don't want to, like, spoil it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't think that that it needed that, or that it depended on that particular twist. So it didn't detract from the fact that it was a really good story and very sweet and touching. And I'm glad I read it. I think I gave it 5 stars.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and then I read another lesbian love story. And that is Blue is the Warmest Color. I remember this being talked about way back when it became a movie. And I gave this one 4 stars. This was translated from French, I believe.
Who's it written by?
Julie Moreau and Ivanka Honenberger.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think I think there was sometimes when the dialogue was awkward and stiff, and I think that probably had to do with the
translation.
Yeah.
Lost in translation.
Yeah. Just a little bit. But it was a good story. Basically, this is just about a young girl who comes into her own and realizes that she likes girls, and when she meets this girl who's really androgynous and mysterious and sexy and whatever.
Are you describing Ruby Rose?
What's Ruby Rose?
She was on Orange is the New Black, Ruby Rose.
Oh, yes! That is exactly who I'm describing. But she has blue hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she is sexy and androgynous, you know?
Yes. Yeah. You're exactly right. That's funny. I have a crush on Ruby Rose.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Male or female, who doesn't?
Exactly. That's so funny. Okay, next one. Lighter Than My Shadow by Katie Green. This was another Own Voices memoir type book about her experiences growing up with anorexia and later with binge eating and sexual abuse also.
Yikes.
So it's real
heavy.
It's real heavy.
Sounds real heavy.
It is. One thing that this book did really well is that it visually showed the weight that she felt with her anxiety was represented in scribbles. She'd have like if something triggered her anxiety, there would be like a scribble above her head, and then the scribbles would get bigger and bigger and bigger, and sometimes she would lose herself in the scribbles.
It sounds like a cool graphic novel.
Yeah.
Idea, like concept, you know? Yeah, that's really cool.
It starts out, she's very little, and then follows her all the way up through college, and then I think there's a letter from her now and talking about how, you know, she's found herself now, and she still struggles with this stuff, but she's able to keep it under control, and everything gets better is her message, basically.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I really like that one. I gave it 5 stars.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, next one. It is Snotgirl. I read volumes 1 and 2. One is being Green Hair Don't Care, and then California Screaming. I gave the first one 4 stars, and the second one 3 stars. It follows this girl who is a fashion blogger, real famous on the Instagrams and all that. She has allergies, so it's like, oh, I know I look perfect, but in real life, I'm like this snotty mess of a person. And it also looks at, the cattiness that girls will have towards each other, and that whole mean girl culture. It's very Mean Girls. Yeah. She takes medication from a doctor, and she goes on like this drug trial, and then she starts like seeing things, and she meets this friend, and she thinks she's killed this friend, but then that friend comes back, and then she like thinks maybe that friend is killing people, and it turns into like this murdery thing.
That sounds really good.
Yeah. So it is pretty good.
Yeah.
There's only 2 volumes out. As far as I know.
Right.
I think there's like there are like 2 issues into volume 3, but I think I'll continue on. It didn't like blow my mind or whatever, but I liked it and it was entertaining.
Right.
So yeah.
Good.
Okay. And I have 2 more to talk about, and then we'll be done.
You're doing so good.
Thank you so much.
You're like hammering through this.
I'm doing my best.
You were describing them so well.
Oh.
Talk about you feeling. You're doing a great job.
My heart.
I'm really proud of you.
Thanks.
little interlude for a pep talk here.
Okay. Then I read I Hate Fairyland.
I want to read that so bad.
Book 1. It's crazy.
Is it? That's awesome.
Which includes, I believe, volumes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
It's written by Scotty Young.
Oh, I see. You read the book with the volume bind-ups.
Yeah. Got it. Yes. It's crazy. So, It's about this young girl, little girl, 8 years old, I think. She gets sucked into her floor and goes into this alternate dimension. It's very much like Wonderland. She's supposed to find a key, and then she'll be able to go home. Kids before her are able to do this very simply. They have an adventure, and they go through this Wonder Candyland, and they find
and it's fun.
Yes.
Okay.
And then she is a hot mess, and she can't get her act together. And it's like 30 years later, and she's still there.
Oh my gosh.
She's still in her little kid body, and she is angry and goes around killing everyone, all the fairy creatures. And it is gory, and she is foul-mouthed.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And she keeps getting these opportunities to go back home, and she just screws it up.
Yeah.
Really horribly. It's kind of gross, but I like it. It was really good.
Cool. What did you rate it?
I gave it 4 stars.
Yeah.
I really, really liked it.
Good.
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should read it. Okay, last one. And I gave this one 5 stars. It was so good. I read Alex and Ada, The Complete Collection. I think this covers a few volumes, and it's the whole story. So it ended, which is cool. Like, usually things with volumes, they go on.
Yeah.
And on and on. And this one had an ending.
Yeah.
And that was very satisfying. So Alex has just gone through a breakup with his fiancée. And this takes place in the not-so-distant future. Everyone has androids. And recently there's been the discovery of artificial intelligence. After one of the bots massacres a bunch of people, like uploads itself into a bunch of other bots and then massacres like 85 people or something, artificial intelligence becomes illegal. His grandma, buys him an android. It's a woman. She looks just like a woman in every way. You can't tell that she's a bot except she has like this stamp on her wrist, and she doesn't have artificial intelligence. She can just like help out, if that makes sense, and say, "Oh yes, what would you like to do, sir? I'm here for you." Blah blah blah. Well, he wants to have a relationship with her, and whatever. She becomes sentient through his means, and it's illegal. And so they have to go on the run, basically. That's the story. It was very good.
Well, I mean, you said you gave it 5 stars, so...
Okay, yes.
I would imagine, so...
Yeah. It covers themes of discrimination and how when a whole group of people become discriminated against, it becomes, you know, bigotry and racism and that sort of thing. Yeah. Yes, very good. Cool. Read it. You should read it.
Okay, I definitely will. I've never heard of that one ever. So.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I heard it through BookTube, just watching like graphic novel recommendations.
Now that we have access to graphic novels.
Yeah.
Oh, our thing is blinking.
It's blinking, so we should
go. So that's what we read for March, you guys.
Yay! We did it.
Let us know if you've read any of these and what you thought.
Yeah, awesome. When you play the Game of Tomes,
you read or you die.
Come be our friends. Social media links in the description below.
And we hope you're reading a great book.
Bye.
Bye. I cannot believe we fit that on a 4 gig.
I know, it's amazing.